Welcome to the 6 Miles to Supper podcast. I'm your host, Kayla Cox, and I've lost over 80 pounds with intermittent fasting 6 days a week, eating whatever I wanted at my meals, taking a cheat day every Sunday, and walking 6 miles a day. And I'm here to help you on your weight loss journey. In this episode, I want to talk about learning to love yourself. And this is something I've struggled with a lot, especially in the beginning of my weight loss journey. I didn't even realize it at the time, really, but my self-talk, that inner dialogue, that voice in your head that's kind of talking to you about your life, that was really negative when I first started out on this journey. And I've learned slowly over time, and again, I am a work in progress here, but I've learned how to love myself. And it's kind of funky to me to even say it out loud. Like it kind of feels awkward. And it was really difficult for me in the beginning to admit, first of all, that I wasn't doing a very good job of loving myself. And then trying to change that, it felt super awkward. But I will say that this piece of the puzzle was crucial to sticking with my plan with successfully losing the weight and with maintenance. Because when you love yourself, when you can really learn to love yourself and take care of yourself, you don't give up on yourself. You will learn to pick yourself up and get back to work. And it's, again, awkward, but I would offer to you that it's very much worth the effort. And so even though it was awkward at first, because, I used to think of, if you love yourself, I kind of, I guess, felt afraid that if I loved myself, that would mean that I wouldn't try to improve myself, or that, I'd just kind of stagnate. But what I found was, I made much better progress when I started from a place of, I love myself and I'm going to take care of myself. And then that helped me to stay motivated, even when things maybe weren't going that well. If my weight loss had stalled out or something like that, it helped me to keep going. And one thing that really helped me, because like I said, it was awkward to think is it good really to love yourself? What I started to realize was, and I heard this on a podcast, I actually heard it in several different places, but basically the point was, how do you want your kid, if you've got kids, how do you want your kids to treat themselves? Do you want your kids to love themselves? Do you want your kids' self-talk to be positive or negative? And when I started thinking about it in those terms, and if you don't have kids, you could substitute in your best friend. How would you want your best friend to talk to themselves in their own head? So I started to realize, I want my kids to really love themselves, to really take care of themselves, and to talk positively and to believe in themselves. And more is caught than taught. So if I want them to do that, I have to do that for myself. One big place where I had to work on this a lot, and I'm still, again, working on this, is probably still my biggest, I would say, point of, self-improvement that I'm working on is self-talk. And I would catch myself constantly on the weight loss journey just saying things like, you're fat, or you're stupid, or dummy, I would say these things that were really negative that I would never say to other people, never even think to say it to other people. But to me, I could do that to myself. And so what worked for me was to, first of all, notice it, notice what I'm saying to myself, how I'm talking to myself, and then stopping it and literally saying stop in my head. And then I would, make myself compliment myself 5 times. And I would sit there and list the qualities that I felt like I had, or the things that I was working on. I would always point out, to myself, I am currently overweight, but I am taking these steps in order to work on it. And I think it is, important to remain honest with yourself, there are a lot of people that talk about affirmations, and I think it is important to to think in terms of where do you want to be? What kind of life do you want to have? But the idea that, you only can just say positive things to yourself, like the future state of you, like you should say, I'm skinny if you're currently obese. Like, I don't particularly like that, because I feel like that you're not currently skinny. I think it's better to say, I am currently overweight, but I'm working on it by, doing whatever intermittent fasting or whatever the thing that you're doing is, and reminding yourself that you are taking action on making progress. And I've also made it a habit to just say, I love myself. One way I do this a lot is with my coffee in the morning, I put cream in it, or half and half. And my husband drinks his black, and I'll just jokingly say, I put cream in mine because I love myself. And but even though I say it jokingly, I do mean it. I give myself that cream in my coffee because that's how I enjoy it. And it's a little gift to myself every day when I drink my coffee the way I like it. And I try to move through my day with that in mind. I love myself. I want to take care of myself. So how can I best do that? Like one way I do that is by going on my 6-mile walk. And when I go out there, it's a good stretch of time, but I do that because I love myself. I understand about myself that when I'm out there walking, first of all, it's getting me active, which is really good. It's really a positive behavior to model for my kids. And it helps me to think, and it helps me to work better. So I do these things always, everything I'm doing, I'm asking myself now, am I doing this to punish myself, or am I doing it because I love myself? Because sometimes, you're doing things that are maybe a little bit uncomfortable, but you're doing that because you're trying to improve. Getting out of your comfort zone just a little bit is slightly uncomfortable, but it can make your life better. But if you're trying to punish yourself, then I think that's where it crosses a line. So, and I think everybody kind of knows that line is something you just have to think about. And certainly one area where learning to love myself has been really important is with body image. I was, in some pretty bad habits when it came to being really critical of my body. I would say since I was a kid, I was very critical of my own body because, I had a lot of weight struggles growing up. I would be chunkier at sometimes. I would kind of, slim down just like kids do. But for most of the time, I was overweight. And because of that, I think I always just felt bad about my body. And so I had to learn how to stop that pattern of behavior for myself, because I realized this is not good. I would, you have lots of opportunities during the day to either be really critical of yourself and your body, or you can take those opportunities and, on purpose and intentionally say, let me find the good here. And I would encourage you, if you currently have issues, body image issues, look for the silver lining. Look for the things that you find to be positive qualities. Instead of focusing on the negative, look for things you like and focus on that. That's really helped me because, I've got stretch marks. My belly is not flat by any stretch of the imagination. And I have cellulite. There are things that are, what some people may call negatives, but ultimately I can either stand there and browbeat myself in front of the mirror about those things, or I can focus on the things that I do like and just focus on the positive instead of dwelling on the negative would be my advice if you're looking for some advice. So I would encourage you on your weight loss journey, start to work on loving yourself. If you feel like right now you think, I don't really love myself that much, start to try. And it really just takes trying and then noticing. After you've started to try this, I would just say, notice how you feel. Compare how you're feeling on those days where you're really nice to yourself and you're really forgiving of yourself if you kind of slip up, do something wrong, and compare that with how you feel on those days where you just browbeat yourself and talk really negatively to yourself. And then you can see whether it does help to, put in this kind of work. I have found that it's certainly worth it for me. It's made my life much, much better. And if you're still kind of resistant to the idea that you should love yourself, I would offer to you that God loves you. And I'm a Christian, and the Bible makes that really clear. I have to remind myself and reread those verses over and over again that show how much God loves us. So if you're having trouble, maybe try praying about it, and that really helps me a lot. Especially when I kind of feel like I'm at the end of my rope or I'm really feeling frustrated. It always helps me to just pray about it. Thank you for joining me in this episode, and I'll see you in the next one. Do you want to lose the weight without getting rid of the foods you love and that you know you'll go back to eating again anyway? My book, The Laid Back Guide to Intermittent Fasting, teaches you how to practice intermittent fasting so that you lose the weight sustainably and keep it off for good. You can get the audiobook read by me for free when you sign up for your 30-day trial of Audible. The link is in the show notes. And if you've gotten value from this podcast and you'd like to let other people know about it, it would be great if you could leave a review on either iTunes or wherever you get your podcast. Thanks.